Sports Squad. Oh, there we go. Episode 9.
Yeah.
9. Sorry. Gotta do it, right? Anytime there's a 9, you gotta quote Inglourious Bastards. This one is influenced by my one of my favorite blogs, Crossing Broad, who I mentioned on the last episode, possibly before as well. And he wrote a really good article he wrote a few articles about how ESPN has slowly died and is about to die due to a variety of reasons. I think we'll start with the most obvious one, and that is Twitter. Twitter is basically it's the cause of death for ESPN. It's so easy to see stuff happening right away. That's mainly why I got Twitter, honestly. It was before I realized how great Twitter was, or it can be. I got it for sports news, because I knew if something was reported, 10 people I follow will report it right away.
Yeah.
I don't have to turn on ESPN or anything to watch it.
Laziness.
Well, yeah, because laziness. But yeah, I think that's a huge part because it's just the way we live nowadays.
Yeah. Well, see, I think I'm going to disagree with you today. Because I know. Because
Sports Squad first.
Because I don't think that ESPN is dying or is dead. I just think ESPN, our parent ESPN, is dying or is dead. Like the going, watching SportsCenter, the da-na-na, and everything like that. Because I mean, if you miss anything, you can check it on Twitter. If you miss anything, they have the app. They have their own podcast through the app. And not only that, but ESPN was its own kind of innovator, where it was its own thing. Like, it was like the first really place where they talked exclusively sports, and all sports news, and all news that they had was sports news. And now you're seeing more and more sites and blogs and apps and different Twitter accounts and things like that don't lead you to just ESPN. I think ESPN is still doing a good job. They cut down over 100 people like last year. But
possibly might happen again.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet the other day saying they're going to cut 100 more people.
It wouldn't surprise me, because when a lot of these things that you don't need all these production people and everything on all these different shows, because nobody's watching television anymore. Because people, if they need to catch up on something, they can just watch it through streaming site. You can you don't have a specific cable provider or anything like that. You're using Hulu, like a Hulu live television.
Yeah.
And things like that are what are like super interesting to watch, just because you're really cutting it down, and people don't want to sit down there. People are always on the go, and they want to keep up with the news as soon as possible. They don't want to wait until the next episode of SportsCenter to come in and to get the full story, when you can follow 10 people on Twitter that tell you this and this. They can tell you the point of, if you're a fan of one team, you can follow all people that are writers for that team, and can get you as much information as you possibly can about that team. And you don't need to feel as in tune with sitting back there watching SportsCenter, watching television and things like that. So I don't think that it's...
Pause for 1 second.
All right, we're back. We got this. Sorry to interrupt. I plugged in the thing to the headphone jack, not the microphone jack. That's why it wasn't working during our pre-production meeting. Okay. I'm sorry to lose the train of thought.
Yeah.
You're talking about cutting 100 people.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously going to cut down on people because you don't need as many people working for ESPN. You don't need as many people covering people. You don't need true journalism anymore, is what it is. That's why you're seeing people like Ed Werder and old time dudes like that getting losing their jobs, because old school journalism you don't need. Because if a player, you don't need to find out certain things and things like that. You need to find the biggest breaking news coming up. You don't need to have an investigative journalism report and things like that. All you need is Adam Schefter telling you what's happening, what's going on this week, what's happening next week, what could happen in the future, and everything like that. And you don't need, and he can explain everything in one tweet. Especially now that they have 280 characters.
Yeah, well,
you can explain everything in one tweet, and make it a novel, honestly.
Yeah, you really can.
And it's just since people are always on the go and need want to have all the information on demand as quick as possible, it just makes sense that people don't really take the time to sit down and watch television and figure out what happened throughout the day, because they can just pull up their phone and have it right there on there. And so, and then on top of that, you can still follow different ESPN accounts on Twitter as well too. So I think what it is I don't think that ESPN itself is dying. I just think that the ESPN that we know, that we once knew, like the Sports Center and things like that, is dying. But ESPN is still very much the juggernaut that kind of regulates and talks all sports.
I think it's, yes, to an extent, that I see your point of it's not dying, because a lot of ESPN anchors are active on Twitter. Cough, cough, Jamel Hill.
Yeah.
Cough, cough. And that's a whole other issue. Not her, the way the whole situation is handled. I don't want to make it sound like I'm calling her out. But I don't know, it gets to the point where how much is them on Twitter and how much is the network? Because especially in her case, and I remember SportsSqwad, right, one of the best, when Twitter exploded, he said on air, he was like, my Twitter personality is different than my on-air personality.
Yeah.
Right? So if more people are going on Twitter, and that's their quote-unquote real personality, right, where does that leave ESPN in the wake, And if it's just people tweeting, do you really need the network to keep doing that?
Well,
that's a question in my head.
The thing is, they still have to regulate to an extent, because at the end of the day, they still work for Disney, So
Disney,
yeah,
our future overlords.
they can still say, oh, my personality is how I am on Twitter, and that's different from how I am when I'm anchoring a show or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, at the end of the day, you still have to keep it to a certain level, because you can't just be on Twitter dropping F-bombs and you're just cursing up a storm and things like that, because you still have to maintain that certain kind of persona that people do know you for, because that's the only time that people actually visibly see you is when you are on television and things like that. So I feel like I don't know. I think they still do regulate that a little bit, just because of the company that they work for. Now, if you work at a place like Barstool, which is way wild out there, which is,
they do some. I don't follow them, but I've seen some retweets.
Yeah, they're
you and a few other.
They're very reckless, and they cover sports in such a different way, and I think that this could. I mean, I don't know. They're gonna have to clean up a little bit just to kind of be put up in the upper echelon, but they have a legitimate shot of dethroning some of what ESPN does, just because of how much of a cult following they already have to begin with, and they're still really not that old of a company. They're still,
I haven't been around that long.
Yeah, they're really not. They're still kind of getting their feet underneath them. It's still kind of growing and things like that, and they to the point where they were on ESPN for one episode.
That one
got canceled.
Canceled that one episode.
Because and they thought it was going to be more successful than what they thought, just because it was. I don't know why they thought it was going to be a successful, such a success, just because. First of all, you got a good amount of following within your website and your company with Barstool, and a lot of people do know about you, but your 40, 50-year-old dad is for the most part not going to know who they are. So, and then on top of that, they had a time slot at 1 o'clock in the morning on ESPN2, so unless you're a hardcore fan and you really want to see them, they're not too many people are going to watch Barstool. And I think, and Barstool couldn't be Barstool on ESPN because it's ESPN. It's Disney. You don't go against Mickey. It's as simple as that. Doesn't matter if you think you're Barstool and you can do what you think you can do what you want. You're not going to go against Mickey, and you're not going to beat Mickey. Simple as that.
There is an argument. This isn't so much ESPN. But how much Disney actually has over their, the other networks that they own. Mm-hmm. And one of them I saw on Reddit today was how much they control Marvel, because Punisher's coming out. Right. And Winter Soldier was a darker movie. Mm-hmm. And Black Panther looks like it's going to be a darker movie. Yeah. And they question how much they actually have. And it could be different in that case, because Marvel is already huge. Yeah. And if you're someone like Barstool, you don't have that leeway.
Yeah, you don't have that kind of clout to you behind you at this point.
So in that case, yeah, Mickey might still be over you, right? Ruling with a white glove.
Yeah.
But Marvel might be able to get away with it, and if they're bigger, they might be able to get away with it. And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I think because Marvel is already was already very well established, and like that's just said, it was already very big prior to getting bought out by Disney. So I think it's kind of hard to be like, hey, no, we want you to do this and clean it up a little bit. It's like, no, this is how the comic's written. This is what we're doing. You guys are paying us to make these movies. We want to kind of come to a certain middle ground where we think it's kind of, and at the same time, that's a movie. A lot of times, those are movies where people are going out of their way to go and buy this. Not on TV. It's not you're gonna see all this crazy wild stuff on ABC or anything like that, you know. But one thing I think is actually pretty interesting is when ESPN does their 30 for 30s, because some of those can get very interesting, you know,
Ric Flair one.
The Ric Flair one in particular, just last week, that was pretty wild.
Especially his early days.
Yeah, and we was talking about where he was masturbating 2 times a day and slept with over 10,000 women, like that's.
He said that with the straightest.
Yeah, and
for real,
And I think they kind of cross a line when it comes to some of this too, because crosses like a Disney ESPN line, which that they're not usually used to doing. When you had like I said, all their 30 for 30s, you know, it's all pretty raw and pretty to fully
strip it down.
Yeah, to fully encompass what is happening, you know, and what happened in that storyline. And so I think, you know, it's interesting to see, you know, people's reactions when the U and the U Part 2 came out and things like that. And that was pretty interesting because that's raw. Like, this is 80s, this is Miami, Florida, this is cocaine, this is prostitutes, this is this, that, and third. And, you know, like, it's just like reckless behavior. So I think it's interesting to see that ESPN can kind of cross a certain line when it comes to certain things like that, like a 30 for 30 program, like having Barstool on and things like that.
Well, I think the question is how many people relate ESPN to Disney. Because I know it's pretty common nowadays, but sometimes I forget, honestly, that they're owned by them.
Yeah.
Like, I forget Disney is the overall company that owns a lot nowadays, including Star Wars now, too. Like, and it's just, if I'm watching 30 for 30 about Ric Flair, I forgot Disney owns it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm questioning, if Disney, I don't know the hierarchy of who's in charge of ESPN versus Disney, right? It's somebody and then Mickey.
Yeah.
Goofy's VP. But who's ever in charge of Disney, I wonder if they say, you know what, maybe they realize most people aren't making that connection.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, you can air this.
Right, exactly.
10 o'clock.
And exactly. Right. And that kind of makes it, that's a very good point, I think, is because, you know, you're not actively thinking, oh man, they cuss, Ric Flair was talking about masturbating. What's Disney gonna do about this? You know, I think you do kind of forget about that at that point too, and like I said, that's a very good point. But like I said, it's just interesting to see, and the biggest thing is just the development of social media and the fact that, you know, like you said, you can watch a minute and a half long clip of like what somebody said on ESPN instead of waiting an hour and a half to get to like the story that you wanted to watch,
right?
Then going through all the commercials and everything like that, and then you just wasted 90 minutes of your day, you know, where you could just scroll on Twitter, click on a video or something, like find a video online, find a video on the ESPN app and things like that, watch the video, maybe have a 15-second long ad prior, and then that's it. And and that's the thing. Like I said, I don't think that ESPN is dying, because at the end of the day, like, ESPN is still the number one, like, sports news out there. I think it was funny when Fox Sports tried to have their whole revitalization, when it started stealing all these people from ESPN, Colin Cowherd, Skip Bayless. He's the most
successful one, honestly. The Skip Bayless show is doing terrible.
Yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, it's the fastest growing. I was like, well, nobody else is growing. I mean, you guys just started.
Yeah,
I mean,
who?
yeah,
Everyone
it's
else
faster growing.
played.
Yeah, because it went from 0 followers because it wasn't a show 2 weeks ago into to 2 followers.
Yeah.
Now it's fast growing because you went from 0 people to 2 people.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really not. I mean, and this is the success of that Undisputed show is nowhere near. First of all, it's not successful at all.
It's gotten 0 ratings.
Yeah,
it's
literally
0.0 ratings.
It's lower.
That's absurd. How bad that is.
It's insane.
Like, yeah,
and it's funny because what they try to do is they try to do this whole thing. Fox Sports tried to do this whole thing where they're like, let's try. Like, we can't beat ESPN right now, but let's try and emulate them and see and try to copy what they kind of do. You know. So what they do is they have the show First Things First, which starts roughly around the same time that Mike and Mike does. So it starts at 6:30 and then goes to 9:30.
Yeah.
Then they have after.
Well,
and
now Mike and Mike is kind of
right. Well, yeah, obviously, but I mean, they still have Mike and Wingo.
Yeah.
In that time slot from 6 to 10, and on top of that, I mean, Mike and Mike was a successful show for 17 years, 18 years,
which is crazy. If I got up early enough, I'd watch them. I would
right.
watch half an hour.
Right, exactly. I would watch it. I would watch it when I was waking up, like I was waking up, getting ready for when I was going to school.
Or sometimes I would fall asleep when I was in high school / community college.
Yeah.
I would fall asleep with ESPN 2 on.
Yeah.
I didn't care what was on at the time. I knew Mike and Mike would be on when I woke up.
Exactly.
I would leave my TV on overnight, which my mom didn't like. but
like I said, so
that's what I did because I looked forward to their chemistry. And
yeah, exactly. And like I said, and like what Fox Sports tried to do this thing with emulate it. I'm like, you can't do what ESPN does because ESPN has already done it. They're already doing it. You got to be innovative. You got to be original. And they were not at all. They had First Things First, which is with Chris Carter, formerly who used to work at ESPN, and Nick Wright, who knows sports, I think, but he's mainly a basketball analyst.
I was going to say, whenever he talks about LeBron, he seems to know what he's talking about. Anytime he talks about anything else, it seems he's stretching a little bit.
Exactly.
And like reaching to get the point.
Right, exactly. So you put that at roughly the same time slot as Mike and Mike. It's going to lose because people know Mike and Mike. I mean,
you're not going to...
Yeah, I think they still go up and lose to Mike and Wingo because they already know because Trey Wingo's been around NFL Countdown a long time. He's been on like NFL Live. He's been around ESPN for a long time, so he has a good following and a lot of people do know of him. Then right after like that First Things First, they have Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. I'm like, so basically Skip Bayless, mind you, is getting paid $5.5 million a year, which is absolutely absurd to yell at Shannon Sharp for 2 hours and be wrong.
To be paid to contradict.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he's that's stupid. He's literally paid to, like, they're like, hey, say the most ridiculous thing you can
right, and be a fake Cowboys fan, you know, like that's because that's what he is. Because I mean, if you're a fan of one team, just stick a fan of one team. Like, oh no, but I really love the Patriots and what Belichick and Tom Brady do. No, Skip, shut the hell up. Stick with one team. Know what you're talking about when it comes to that one team. And don't pretend, and just be real.
Yeah,
he's not. And people people who are actual writers and things like that. There's a guy who's named Mike Fisher who writes for the Dallas Cowboys and
there's also the guy in the Predators.
Okay,
He's married to Carrie Underwood.
Oh yeah,
named Mike Fisher. I think it's Mike Fisher.
So yeah,
name's Fisher.
So he works for the Cowboys and the Dallas Mavericks, and he calls Skip Bayless out all the time. He's like, yeah, he's a shell of a reporter. He's not good.
He's not a reporter.
No, he used to be at one point. He used to be. Yeah. Well, he used to be a journalist. He's not a reporter, but like he doesn't have any clout because he has a moral backbone of a chocolate eclair. Thank you, John Mulaney. And he just kind of flip flops and he doesn't really say anything with any true conviction. He shouts, makes it seem like he's saying things with conviction, but it's just really not the truth.
Yeah, Mike Fisher.
Yeah,
the page finally loaded.
And then right after that, you know, they have Colin Cowherd, who used to work at ESPN as well. And what they
upgraded his show a little bit because I used to watch when he was on ESPN.
Yeah,
I like Colin Cowherd. To the extent of, I think he's entertaining.
He's that.
I don't think half the time I disagree with what he says.
Yes, I'd say.
But I don't think he's obnoxious enough to hate. Like, Skip Bayless. I just
Yes.
I watched First Take for like 2 weeks because my brother used to watch it.
Yeah.
And I was like, one, it's the same thing literally every show.
Oh, yeah, they would argue.
Right.
Like, every week it'd be like, we're going to argue about Tim Tebow, Johnny Manziel, LeBron James, the Cowboys, and then that's it.
And it's like, you have 2 hours to fill.
Yeah.
And it was just the way they present it, too. I was like, okay, like, shut up. Like,
They're just shouting at each other for 2 hours straight.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Colin he's calmer. He says some pretty ridiculous analogies, which I find kind of funny. But I think he does know a lot because he does this thing on Fox. I don't know if he did on ESPN. He does this thing where he says on I think he does it on Mondays after his weekend predictions. And he'll be like, I was wrong. I admit I was wrong. Yeah. Like 5 things he was right about, and he'll brag a little bit, and then 5 things he was wrong about. And he'll be like, you know what?
Wrong than right, though. Probably more wrong than right, though.
I mean, if you were to objectively look at every segment, probably. But he chooses 5, and I think that's better than, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a goodness to, you know, admitting your faults at times when it comes to stuff like that.
They brought in Christine Leahy, who isn't quite a co-host.
I think she's pretty useless, honestly. Yeah. She's just pretty.
I mean, she is. But sometimes she'll, like, say stuff that's a good counter-argument, and then they don't get into it.
Yeah.
I feel like if she was an actual co-host and not just to the side, because whenever the guest comes up, they face Colin and not her. Like,
I only know her. I forgot that she was on there. I only know her for hosting American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because that's on NBC and Fox Sports. I like how you on 2 different networks, you know? Well, like I said, I mean, like, it's just, I don't think that there's anybody, as of right now, that's within striking distance of ESPN. To go back to your original point, I just don't think...
I don't think so, but it's not... I don't think it's that out there to say in 10, maybe 15 years...
Somebody could come...
Yeah,
so, like I said...
Because the main point Crossing Broad made was the cable package.
Yeah.
Like you were saying earlier with Hulu, I use Hulu. Other people use... Sling TV or other stuff, and ESPN isn't a part of it. You pay if you want ESPN. If you don't want ESPN, and then you don't pay for it. And they're losing that money. Yeah. So they're trying to strike a deal with these other people to get money, but they're not doing it because it's ultimately up to the customer and what they're buying, and therefore they have to fire 100 people because they're not making the money. Yeah. Like, firing 100 people and possibly firing 100 more isn't, like, a small thing. You know, like, it's not like they fired one guy.
But at the same time, like, I
don't know. I think
it's just like weird. I don't know how we put it in perspective because I don't know specifically how many people work for ESPN. You know, like they fired like
mainly NFL people.
Yeah,
which was going to be another point of mine.
But at the same time, I mean, as long as they still have NFL Monday Night Football. Actually, no, I can't even make that argument because
Monday Night Football's going down.
Yeah. I mean,
their season though.
Yeah, this Monday night, they posted a rating of like 6.1. To put that in comparison, the Miami Notre Dame game posted a rating of like 15.6 or 16. And granted, it was Carolina and Miami. Those aren't 2 really big market teams, not really 2 good teams. Well, I mean, Carolina's good. Carolina's good. But I mean, and it was a blowout game, like 45-14 or something like that.
It was a blowout, yeah.
So it just wasn't, and like that.
I think not that it's a high. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. I think the highest rated game was the Eagles game a few weeks back.
Yeah, against Washington.
Yeah, I think that was according to Reddit.
Which makes sense. I mean, Carson Wentz has a very big following. He's done very well this season. It's a rival. It's divisional, divisional game.
Probably past 2 years, it's been Eagles Cowboys.
Yeah,
Eagles Redskins a little bit, and then the Giants are just a laughing stock in the division.
Oh, I mean, for the Cowboys, it was the Giants there, the last couple years.
Yeah, because they beat them.
Because the Cowboys lost to them twice.
Last year.
Yeah, well, last year, twice last year, and then the Cowboys beat them in the opener this year. So yes, And
I saw a picture of Ben McAdoo today. Oh my god! And it was when he was like an assistant coach
with the 49ers, and he looked like a normal human being. I did see that, like somewhat normal.
I also saw totally unrelated to jumbling anything. Got me cracking up because somebody posted a video of Jerry Orbach singing at the Oscars one year, and then somebody commented, "This summer love is spelled with 2 eyes." I was like, "Can't you beat me to it?" But yeah.
But I mean, so here's the thing. I mean, I think that one of the fastest biggest growing sports in America is basketball. As long as more young people are watching basketball, I think it's going to continue to be a pretty big sport. You know, you're not getting that.
I think it's the second.
Yeah,
second most popular.
I definitely agree.
And it's a worldwide sport. Too.
Yeah, exactly. It's worldwide. You know, they're playing the Olympics. You know, like I mean, and there's a lot of international players that are in the NBA as well that are very successful as well, like Hall of Famer that are very successful. So that's pretty cool to watch. But I think, ESPN and ABC, they're basically the same network. That's
the thing. Yeah, ABC is also, they're like above ESPN in the hierarchy. I think it's ABC owns ESPN and Disney owns ABC.
Exactly.
So as long as ABC has the college football games Saturday nights.
Yep.
And ESPN
college football games. They have NBA finals, NBA playoffs leading up to that.
ABC might be the lifeline of ESPN.
It wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, they don't have any of the big baseball games or anything like that, but they still have like ESPN Monday Night Baseball. Yeah, ESPN Monday Night. I like ESPN Monday Night Baseball is still kind of a thing, but like I'm saying, but they don't have the playoffs. Yeah. They have like the home run derby, which can be interesting, like the All-Star game.
No, All-Star game is Fox.
Oh, really? That's weird to have it like to have the All-Star game on Fox and have like all the like the home run derby and things like that on ESPN.
Celebrity softball game on ESPN.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta love that.
That's weird. But
well, I think part of it too is that ESPN focuses so much on football and basketball. And
yes.
I think people are starting to realize, okay, I'm a football fan. I'm a pretty diehard football fan. Not that big into basketball. Mm-hmm. But even then, I don't like football that much to watch ESPN for an hour and hear nothing but football.
Yeah.
I could watch NFL Network. Or I can go on Twitter and follow NFL guys.
Yeah.
I don't, when there was the fight, a couple months ago. Huge boxing fight.
The McGregor Mayweather fight.
Yeah. It was, I was out, and we came back, and I turned it on. I was like, we'll turn on ESPN,
Yeah.
So, I was kind of awake, I came back, turned it on, and we were kind of, distracted for a little bit. We were talking and other stuff. And then we realized, an hour into it, they hadn't stopped talking about it.
Yeah.
They were bringing on Stephen A. Smith every 15 minutes. Teddy Atlas was in studio for 3 hours. And I was like, do you really want to keep watching
Sonnen in there because he used to be an MMA fighter.
Yeah, I was like, do you really, and I turned to her, I was like, we can change this. And she's like, oh, I thought you were watching it. And I was like, no, I'm not watching it. It's a boxing fight I didn't see.
Yeah.
2, it's been on for the past 2 hours. I don't need to watch Teddy Atlas scream at Stephen A. Smith again. It's...
When I can see that on Twitter.
Yeah.
For a minute.
Yeah. Okay, I see what I got. And I think that's too. If I saw the thing, the baseball shows are only on during baseball season, but the NFL shows are on all year long.
Yeah, so the NBA shows.
Yeah, the NBA shows. And they look at all the different NFL shows there are compared to Baseball Tonight.
Yeah.
That's the only show they have.
Yeah. They have that. There's another one where they're I don't even remember what it's called, honestly. That's not helping the point. But yeah, I think there's another baseball show on where they wear weird shirts and stuff like that and talk baseball.
Oh, Intentional Talk.
That's it. They
wear weird shirts. No, that's true, but that show started on MLB Network, and I think ESPN might have bought MLB Network, or ABC or Disney.
Yeah, make you just throwing down the cash.
I was watching.
Make you just laying the penis on the table we got this now.
I was watching the channel What Culture on YouTube. They were talking about Disney. I think they were talking about the Disney Marvel thing, right? And they're like, oh, because it's Disney, what's going on with Marvel? What's going to happen? And somebody said basically what you said. It was like Mickey slapping his slong on the table, and then he did it and made the Mickey laugh. He was like, and the other guy just stared at him. He's like, what did you just do? But I think, I forgot that show is on ESPN now.
Yeah,
that's a funny show. Kevin Millar and his shows.
See, but I can see your point to saying that there is somewhat of an oversaturation when it comes to their sport, their top 2 sports, because who the stars are in those sports, and you're oftentimes going to want to hear coverage from them. But at the same time, there are other sports out there. They got rid of basically their entire hockey department on their last cut to people, I guess. They don't really talk about baseball outside of season.
Who's their health department outside Barry Melrose?
Barry Melrose's mustache, I guess.
Yeah, like Steve Levy.
Yeah.
And they get like 5 minutes after the finals.
Right.
Sportscenter, when
exactly.
The NBA gets like 2 weeks.
Yeah, they get like Melrose.
You can tell how unproportional.
Yeah. Oh.
It doesn't have to be perfectly balanced.
No.
But if you were to split into 100, it's probably, like, I can't do math off the top of my head, even though I teach it. It's probably like 75% football, right? Maybe like, I don't know, 10% basketball.
Yeah.
And then everything else is in that remaining 5%.
Yeah.
That's a huge split. Like, if it was even like 50% football and 50% everything else. Or like 40% and everything else. But like,
that's tough. I mean, football rules.
Out of my ass calculation, so feel free to call me out.
Football only lasts 20 weeks, and we talk about it for 52 weeks.
Yeah, 16 weeks already. Well, 17.
Because as soon as the NFL season's over, all right, we got to talk about the NFL draft.
Yeah.
All right, as soon as the NFL draft is over, we got to talk about it. Yeah, got to talk about trades and free agency.
Super Bowl's the first weekend of
February.
First Sunday of February. Then you talk to the draft until April. Then free agency and OTAs. And who didn't report and who did. And who didn't show up to voluntary workouts.
Yeah. Who's holding out? Who doesn't want to see? Who's not signing the franchise tender? Things like that. And like I said, so
information that you don't need to know.
Yeah, so there definitely is oversaturation, but I think it's just because people want to follow football so bad, and it's sad too because what I would like to see for ESPN pick up other sports that are actual sports, It's like when football and basketball and all the big major sports aren't in season, don't play us the World Series of Poker. We don't want to see that. Don't show us bowling, don't show us drone racing.
The trick shot bowling is insane.
Oh,
I will watch that.
But
Sunday, it used to be, I don't know if they still do it. Sundays at 1, they were showing bowling. And I was like, well, football's on. You don't have a football show? Like NFL Network has a...
Yeah, like a
simulcast.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's kind of showing all the scores and all the stats and all on the side and everything like that.
I know it's hard to compete with Red Zone / DirecTV Red Zone.
You're right.
Right, it's hard to compete with that nowadays. So, what else are you gonna put on? Put on something.
Yeah, putting on sport.
Yeah, who's gonna watch bowling? If you put on a
the
football
70-year-old people that fell asleep, I don't understand.
Their coffee fell asleep on Sunday. He came back from Global in the morning, and we turned on football and ran away. Robbie's in the chair and just goes head back. And then I was on the floor because Sherry was across the couch and Katie was in the chair. So I was on the floor on my laptop, and I just peered over Katie to check on him, and she's like, "He's asleep." I was like, "Oh, really?" His head's halfway down.
But I mean, it's like I said, there's something. It's just tough for people to want to follow other sports.
I mean, they almost force you to follow football.
And I'd like to see just one time. I wish ESPN would do certain things, they would play have Olympic sports going on. But it's not.
NBC owns the Olympics, so.
But something.
Yeah.
Give me curling. Can a brother get some curling? Probably the first time the black man's ever said, "Can a brother get some curling?" But I want some curling, goddammit.
History made here. That's
yeah. They have the X Games, but nobody really cares about the summer X Games. Everybody always cares about the winter X Games.
Yeah, once Tony Hawk retired.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Sean
White
retired.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to go to the Olympics, but I mean, he's not going to get up for some small little X Games. Yeah. He's trying to win some gold medals in the Olympics, baby.
Well, now there's 4 different X Games a year.
Yeah, there are.
There are a lot. Aspen is the winter X Games, and it used to be LA was the summer X Games. But now it's Brazil, and then there's Colorado has some. Not Aspen, the summer games.
Yeah. I didn't think it was in Minnesota this year. I think
it was. And I was like, what happened to once a year showing the X Games? Because that was cool. It was once a year you could see this.
Yeah.
Now it's 4 times a year, and you're showing it at random times.
Yeah, it's
it's not their fault to have people retired. It's not their fault. But
yeah, and it's just also crazy to follow too, just because there's dudes doing tricks, doing backflips and stuff like that on freaking snowmobiles, and the one dude died because he had a snowmobile fall on him, while he was doing a double backflip or something like that. And it's just people don't want to see that. People personal wipes out. I just wish that they did a little bit more. They would reach out and get hockey, because hockey is a
crazy fun sport to watch. It's not high scoring, but it's high energy. It's very fast speeds, and it's hitting. I mean, it's football on ice with goals. Like I don't understand why that's not a bigger sport.
Yeah.
Like these dudes are skating around on knives and like getting like, and fist fights are like not like you won't get suspended and thrown out of a game for a fist fight. You might just sit in the you get a 5-minute penalty and like back on the ice, bub. Like I just wish like it's such an exciting sport to watch, and it's sad that ESPN, like if ESPN see, and I think that's the thing. ESPN is still so powerful that if ESPN decides they want the sport to be popular, they're gonna get it. Like they want football to be popular, they got Monday Night Football. They want basketball to be popular, they got the NBA Finals. They want hockey to be popular, they wouldn't just leave it till like 2 days a week over on the NBC Sports Network, which most people don't have. Yeah. You know? And like I said,
that's the thing too. Like, I mean, I chose the live streaming package of Hulu. If you don't have that, and if you're like not using the streaming service, and you're not using the services, and you're casting most of the stuff, you need to have a cable to cast for the most part, but it's like most people are going away from it. And I mean, the bigger picture is cable. How most people are realizing you don't need to pay for all that nowadays. Like, there's other options, and I think that's hurting them because ESPN has had a basically 40-year streak of dominating TV in the sports realm, and now it's like,
and now since like
it's a sudden change,
and now less and less people are like actually watching TV and. Like you can watch there's a feature on Twitter now where you can scroll up to the top of the screen and then you can see what's happening now in different sports. I can go up here, I can go to the Capitals Predators game, I can see what the score is, how much time is left in the game, who's winning, and then all these tweets about it, how many shots on goal and everything like that. Like I can see all that, like all these different tweets, how people are live reacting to watching the game and things like that. I'm like, that's pretty wild. You can watch. I mean, things on Amazon, like Thursday Night Football.
How I watch the games. Amazon Prime.
Exactly, Amazon Prime has Thursday Night Football games. Granted, Thursday Night Football games aren't really that good.
There's a streak at the beginning of the season. There's like 3 or 4 that were pretty close in one possession games.
Yeah, but like there's a difference between like one possession, like a close game and a good game. You know?
Well, true.
There was
a shootout with the Rams and
the 49ers.
Yeah. And the Eagles-Panthers game was pretty good.
That was a good one. But you also had a close game, which was the Texans and the Bengals, but that was a boring ass game, you know? That was week 2. So, and on top of that, they just got into basically a nonstop car crash all freaking Sunday day and Sunday night. You're like, no, come back on here for Thursday. That's how you get torn Achilles. That's how you get ruptured Achilles. Yeah. Richard Sherman has he had torn ACLs and concussions and things like that because it's just not safe.
And I've heard the argument. It's like, well, you get the extra 3 days on the next week, but that doesn't affect you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, an extra 3 days isn't gonna solve that.
Yeah, it's like oh yeah, I have a sore Achilles. I can still play on it, but like I would be better if I could wait until Sunday. Yeah. All right. Well, no, we're gonna have you play on Thursday, and then just because you got a sore Achilles, you might have a torn. You might tear your Achilles. Like, oh shit! Like it's not enough, and like I think that's what the ESPN, that's what NFL needs to do when it comes to like renegotiating the CBA and fighting Goodell.
That's a whole other.
Yeah. Oh god. Oh Jesus. God.
Yeah. Jones suing him. They're saying he can't. Yeah, wants to get all this ridiculous stuff and this lifetime use of a jet, lifetime health insurance for him and his family, and
$50 million a year.
Yeah,
I think he is Dr. Evil, just demanding ridiculous stuff.
NFL,
it's wild. It's absolutely reckless. And like I said, so like I mean, when it comes to ESPN, like I said, I mean, it's not like it's dying because it's still number one. It's just kind of becoming less dominant, is what I think it is. Because there's so many other things that you can catch up on. I mean, you have Fox Sports, okay, but like you have Barstool, you have Bleacher Report, you have Yahoo, you have NBC Sports. You have a lot of different outlets to get sports.
Everything. Look at fantasy football.
Yeah,
I
don't even use ESPN's fantasy football. Yeah. I never use it. I think they have the worst fantasy football out of all of them. I think it's unorganized. It's very generic. It's not.
It is really generic. I did it 2 out of my 3 years that I played fantasy.
Yeah.
And my favorite, I had no idea what I was doing. And That was the commissioner. I was just like, all right.
Yeah. And there's a little bit more restrictions when it comes to the commissioner and what they can do and everything like that.
I didn't do much when I was commissioner though that one time.
Yeah.
Just like,
I think
I set up the draft and you drafted. After that, I was like, whatever you guys want to do.
I think Yahoo's the best personally. Yahoo or NFL. I think NFL has a pretty good one.
I haven't used NFL Network, but I've seen.
It's like that one's very clean, very organized, very easy to use.
CBS has one now.
CBS has one.
I wouldn't be surprised if Fox had one.
Yep. But I think like I said, Yahoo's is probably the best. Like easily, like you can do a lot more. You can draft all defensive players. You can draft just one defensive player if you need it. Like I mean, it's just better. I think because I'm really big into following recruiting and things like that, like recruiting sports. I don't ever use ESPN's. I think ESPN
the reporters aren't, but I used to follow their main accounts.
Yeah,
they're delayed.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's like only about like 10 minutes, but 10 minutes in Twitter time is like 8 days.
Like, they're recruiting, like, I only use 24/7 Sports. They have the best ways to, like, keep up on recruits. I think they have the most accurate ratings as well of the players. They also can give you, they actually have a lot of reporters that are, like, close and talk to and watch a lot of these kids, like, the high school players' games and things like that. They can have a crystal ball report where they can kind of guess where they could be going and give them percentage chance where they're visiting each and every week, when they committed on the dot, how good their recruiting class is and everything like that. ESPN is trash. And the thing is, ESPN only really ever cares about recruiting on National Signing Day, and they recruit like other people like Rivals and 24/7 Sports. They follow it all year round. They know like that would to the point where like I can follow what they say and I can figure out all these recruits, where they're coming from, what their stats were, who they've been leaning towards since day one, who they started off committed to, who they're now committed to, things like that. And I think that's just the most, it's probably the best, easily. And like I said, ESPN has definitely lost a stranglehold on that, even though they do have, National Signing Day every year. They have, that starts at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Also, I hate college recruiting, because the fact that they have to send in a fax after they sign the letter of intent, they have to send in a fax to the school. That's stupid. Okay.
Well, okay, real quick, we're at 46 minutes. I saw something on Reddit. It was an Ask Reddit question, and it said, I spent a lot of time on Reddit. It was an Ask Reddit question that said, what piece of technology are you surprised still exists? And somebody said fax machines. Somebody actually brought up the point, fax machines are harder to hack than emails, and most companies still use them because, one, it's a little easier because you just sign the paper and it gets sent to where it needs to go.
Yeah.
Right? And two, like I said, it's harder to hack. Emails, more people who want to hack emails because they know that's what the majority of people are doing. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, oh, in fact, as for recruiting, I'm like, the kid's, 16, 17? Like, why does he have a fax machine?
Why is that? Like, that's the only reason why a high school would have, like, that's,
like if you did it at your high school, it's something, but, like, if you're doing it from home.
Was he going to tell me next he has a freaking beeper on top of that? Was he a drug dealer, too? I mean, he probably could be, but...
Like that Always Sunny episode.
Never saw it.
You not watch those? There's an episode where Charlie has a phone. Or no, they get trapped in a pool. And it's Charlie and Mac, and Mac's like, Charlie, like, where's your cell phone? And he's like, oh, I don't have it. I ran out of minutes. He's like, what do you mean you ran out of minutes? He's like, I buy a phone. When it runs out of minutes, I buy a new one. He's like, Charlie, that's what drug dealers do.
The burner phone. Yeah, but to kind of wrap it up and put a nice little bow on it, I don't think that ESPN's dying. I still think it's as dominant as what it once was, because there's so many different things that are out there.
I would compromise and say it's still number one.
Yeah. But there's a chance that it could falter. Yeah. But I don't know who would replace it, because I don't think it's Barstool, because like a lot of America's not ready for that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Bleacher Report.
Bleacher Report is close. They were another person I had to unfollow because I felt their news was a little delayed too.
Yeah.
That could have just been who I was following, but they were a little delayed. There's SB Nation, but they're not that big.
No.
They just post fat guy touchdown gifts. They're really funny in what they do. You know who could? Cespedes Family Barbecue. They could overtake ESPN.
Like I said, like it's just I don't like you said, 10, 15 years from now, like the whole landscape can completely change. But as of right now, in the short, in the near future, I don't think that there's anybody else.
I don't think it will, but just the way they're going about stuff, changing their shows, and people are leaving on their own accord. They're firing 100 people. They're not handling the Jamel Hill situation.
Yeah, that was bad.
Others. Well,
that was a bad situation.
Trying to be like that, the whole
because they're trying to appease everybody, and
you can't do
with
that.
And a lot of the people who follow like Michael Smith, Jamel Hill, Dan Le Batard, Bomani Jones, people like that, like Pablo Terry, Mina Kimes, people like that. They have a very liberal stance.
Yeah.
And
they're also not afraid to
tweet about it on their own personal account. Obviously, Jamel Hill and people like that, but they will tweet about very liberal things like that, and that could put off a lot of the conservative viewership and things like that. Which I understand, but because the whole stick to sports debate. But when politics get brought into sports, it's kind of hard to do that.
Well, we're at 50 minutes, so I think we'll wrap it up. I'm sure we could go on for another 10 or 15 minutes based off that last point. But, so let us know what you think. If ESPN is dying, who do you think could replace them? Who's in second place right now as a sports provider? And any point you may have missed, we may have missed. Why would you have missed it? You're listening. So that's it. It's been me and Kelvin. If you hadn't realized 51 minutes in, I don't think I ever did an actual intro, but it's been me, Kelvin, and Robbie looming in the background.
Damn right.
All right. Sports Squad out.